Hello everybody, this is Pitch Girl Black here, and welcome back to the first Pitch Girl Black 2018 early 2019 hiatus interlude video. Yes, today I'm going to be talking about what is my most prized Doctor Who item as a response to Harry Williams, another Doctor Who YouTuber, tagging me in his video about his most prized Doctor Who item. And I've got to say, Harry Williams Productions is an absolutely fantastic YouTuber, and I would highly recommend checking him out. Does absolutely fantastic videos. But either ways, on to the main content and topic of the video, my most prized item in my Doctor Who collection. The question of what is my most prized possession in my collection is quite a big one, and me answering it well here essentially elects the item to be the absolute king of my collection. For a person that has been collecting Doctor Who merchandise for at least a decade now, I have accumulated quite a large and vast collection, as well as some rare items, one of which you'll see in the next hiatus interlude video at the very end of it, and some that are very special to me personally. There was a lot that could very easily contend and compete for this position, like my copy of the Early Years Deluxe, or my copy of the Target book hand signed by David J. Howe in dedication to my 18th birthday that I obtained in hand at a convention, not to mention my triple signed Tomb of the Cybermen hardback, hand signed by Deborah Watling, Fraser Hines and the cover artist Jeff Cummins. However, at the end of the day, there was really only one item that could come out on top, and that is this. This is a second edition, non-X Library, W.H. Allen hardback of Doctor Who and the Ice Warriors. Back in 2014 I bought from The Works shop reprint editions of the Ice Warriors and the Ark in Space, as I was interested in reading this type of Doctor Who books. Warriors as such became the very first Doctor Who book I ever read. I read it in the space of a week and absolutely loved it. I thought it was just absolutely amazing. Perfection, and still one of my favourite Doctor Who books to this day, but I haven't read it since I first read it back in 2014, and I really do need to get around to rereading it someday. This in turn triggered a love of Doctor Who books within me. I then reached out and went not only deeper with the Target novelisations, but across all spectrums of Doctor Who books. Not only that, but this love of Doctor Who books ignited an absolutely enormous multi-year butterfly effect that still goes on to this day. The reading of the Ice Warriors not only helped me to reignite a lifelong love of books that I had seemingly went out of for a couple years, but many dominoes in one massive grid began to fall in a chain reaction, and this in turn shaped and moulded the channel into what it is today. It is extremely plausible to say that if I had not read this book, I wouldn't be doing YouTube to this day. I reached out and bought copies of science fiction, the Algebra of Ice, Parallel 15 and Parallel 59 from a local second-hand bookshop, and the first one of which became the first original fiction Doctor Who book I ever read. This in turn led to me walking into another The Works, interestingly enough, whilst on holiday later on in 2014. And there I bought the 50th anniversary reprints of 10 Little Aliens, The Last of the Gathering, Fear of the Dark, and players. The first one of which I read on the holiday, and a little while later on it became the first Doctor Who book review on the channel. And it is for that reason that this hardback was my most wanted item. I think ultimately I wanted a Wingate over a W.H. Allen because it was rarer, but when I saw this on eBay I said to myself, screw it, and went ham, knowing that this type of the book was even rarer than a Wingate, with this being a non-X library. On the 21st of June 2018, which coincidentally enough was also the 200th day of my job, which obviously I worked out to obtain the money for this, I placed a bid of £100 and a max of £150 and ended up securing this book for around £113 to £115. This not only is my most prized item because of the huge context and history I have with this book, but it also in itself forms a holy trinity of books in my collection. I also own a non-X library W.H. Allen hardback of The Mind Robber, the very first Doctor Who 1960s story I watched, and I also own a non-X library W.H. Allen hardback of Fury from the Deep, my favourite 1960s story. This trio is the centrepiece of my collection, and the Ice Warriors is the main event of it.